I want my students to think of the humanities as a bridge, and that doesn't mean that we always all cross to the same point. The goal isn't to come to the same point of conclusion. The point is to have the conversation and, again, to establish a common ground that at least allows that conversation to proceed.
The humanities are essential to civil society. They are a gateway to civic education, to civic participation and engagement, and importantly, political civility. Without the humanities, we would not be able to appreciate the nature of diversity and tolerance that are requisite to the establishment of a vital democracy. Without the humanities, we couldn't begin to understand or appreciate the importance and the scope of freedom of speech and freedom of religion.
I'm so grateful for the Idaho Humanities Council. I know it sounds very cliche, but actually I was so impressed to find out many years ago that there was an organization or institution that really promoted the humanities. The humanities is so important for our lives. It gives us a lot of quality of life.
Well, the Idaho Humanities Council some years ago decided to do an annual, week-long, intensive summer institute for teachers. It's for teachers of all disciplines, all grade levels.
The summer workshop is one of the greatest contributions that the Humanities Council makes to education, and that we, through their participation in the workshops, give many educators the opportunity to tune up their humanities skills and knowledge.
This is one of the greatest educational opportunities I've had in my entire career and life. And I just always am so thankful to the Humanities Council for having dreamed this up. I've never heard of this sort of teacher institute anywhere, and it's very unique and very valuable.
The humanities help us think about how to live the good life. What's the good life, and how am I going to get there? What is it that makes our true dreams come true? Help us find happiness and realize what's most important in our lives.
I think back to the strikes in the early 20th century, where the strikers said, give us bread, but also give us roses. Don't just give us enough to survive. We need music, we need time with our families, we need the arts.
Science to me is the application of mathematics. Here is the nuts and bolts of what you need with the mathematics. Science is how you apply it, and the reason we do it is answered by literature.
One thing for me is, once you've reviewed grant proposals and gone through that process, then you drive around the state, and the landscape has a whole different meaning to you. So driving through these towns, it would be easy to just drive through very quickly, but we saw the Clayton historical museum they've restored a general store there, and that's been a wonderful project, going by the Stanley Historical Museum and the ice house that they've restored and done some interpretation for, as well as knowing different talks that are happening in these different places that may not otherwise have been able to happen without funding from an outside source, a statewide source. It has been exciting to see.
The Idaho Humanities Council has helped out the Writers and Readers Rendezvous for many years. Back several years ago, we started up in McCall, and the idea for that is that the reader brings as much to the page as the writer does. And the Writers and Readers Rendezvous brings together writers and readers as co-creators of story. And story is how we explore, how we learn, how we share who we are, what we are, why we are. And the Humanities Council in the humanities does the same thing. It is essential that we support them.
One of the things that the Idaho Humanities Council supports that is very dear to our hearts is a community-wide reading effort. It's called Read Me, and each year we feature a specific author that we want to either introduce or reintroduce to people that might have already read it. And encourage them, of course, to read the book, but more than that, to gather together to discuss concepts in the book, learn new things about the author, learn new things about each other and how they feel about the book. And it's just been a very valuable community building experience.
The humanities brings the world to my front door. I'm able to learn about anything from across all the different cultures, all the different humanities, which I might not be able to do normally. I probably will not get to the Smithsonian, to see all of the wonderful things they have, but the Humanities Council brings them to us so that we can experience it just like anyone else. And so we love the Humanities, for the Council, for bringing all of those pieces to us.
I'm not aware of an organization that is more effective in promoting the humanities statewide, and Idahoans across the state have in fact been the beneficiaries of its many programs, its grants, its summer institutes, and its conferences. Those of us who founded the City Club of Idaho Falls did so because we had become deeply concerned about the fact that the quality of political dialogue in our state and in our nation had fallen on hard times. And so under one tent, we brought together Republicans and Democrats and Libertarians and members of other parties to fashion solutions to those problems and to continue to discuss the ways in which we could approach those great problems and challenges. And the Idaho Humanities Council has been a wonderful supporter. Frankly, their support has been invaluable.
The Idaho Humanities Council receives a grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities. We receive no state funding, and so we're dependent on the support of concerned and involved citizens.
And I would say to the people that are here at the banquet this evening that it is a 501c3. It is tax deductible. And if you want to make an investment, whether it be large or small, into something that's very important for the state of Idaho, then write a little check to the Idaho Humanities Council.